Hello class, welcome back to another video lesson. In this video, we will be going over Chapter 10, Section 4. Let's begin on page 493. Read bar graphs. How is a bar graph used to show data? So in this section, we are going to be focusing more on bar graphs. So think back to our vocabulary list when we talked about the different types of graphs. The bar graph is the one that looks like a rectangle. You're going to see it looks like a bar. So we'll take a look at that later on in this video. So listen and draw. Use the picture graph to solve the problem. Draw or write to show what you did. So here we have a picture graph for us. We have a survey. A survey was conducted and we are looking at the data or the data. So red trucks seen last week. And then we have some names here on the left. So this is a survey of who saw the most red trucks last week. So we see here Morgan, Terrell, Jasmine, and Carlos. And in the keys section, we see that each picture of a box, the red box, stands for one red truck. So each box is the same as one red truck for this picture graph. So here we can see that Morgan has 3 boxes, which means Morgan saw 3 red trucks. So I'm going to go ahead and write down that total. Terrell, if we count his red boxes, you can see he has 6 red boxes. So Terrell has 6. He saw 6 red trucks. Jasmine, she has more than Terrell. She has 2 more than Terrell. So she has to have 8. And Carlos, if we count Carlos, he has 4. So let's answer this question now. Morgan made a picture graph to show the number of red trucks that she and her friends saw last week. How many red trucks did the 4 children see last week? So the very last sentence in this paragraph is the actual question that we need to answer. The rest of it is telling us about the survey. So we know that Morgan is the student that made this picture graph, this survey. So she asked her friends of how many red trucks they saw, and this is the information she got. So how many red trucks did all 4 children see last week? That means that we are going to have to count all 4 of these children's totals together. And if we count all 4 of these numbers together, if we add them up, what number should we get? We should have a total of 21 red trucks. That means that all 4 of them together saw 21 red trucks in the last week. Class, we are now on page 494. Model and draw. A bar graph uses bars to show data. Look at where the bars end. This tells how many. So where the bar ends is going to be the number, is going to be the amount of how many. So we're going to go into more detail in a second here. So the very first thing we always do when we look at a graph is we look at the survey and the categories. So the survey is children playing games. As you can see, we have the title of the survey at the very top. So there are 8 children playing soccer. So that's just one of the categories over here that they have. So the categories are the outdoor games. We have basketball, jump rope, soccer, and tag. So this bar graph, we can tell that it's a bar graph because we have bars or rectangles like I mentioned earlier. When you see a graph with bars or rectangles, whether they be going across or up and down like you see below here, it doesn't matter if it goes across or up and down, those are bar graphs. So rectangles equals bar graph. So here we have the 4 games that children are playing outside. This is the data that tells us how many children are playing each game. So if you can picture let's say it's lunchtime at your school, right? You take a look around your outdoor playground and you see that some people are playing basketball. And you start to count how many children are playing basketball. So you count 6 people. And that's why this bar here starts from 0 and goes all the way to 6. Because you're counting each student until you reach 6. So the bar goes all the way to 6. So then you look over to the right and you see some other students playing jump rope, and you count those students. And you see that there are 3 of them, so you count 3 lines, and you'll have the bar is going to end here on 3. Then you take a look at the field and you see 2 teams playing soccer together. And you end up counting 8 total students playing soccer. So that's why you drew this bar graph right here all the way to 8. Because there's 8 children, 8 number of children playing soccer. And then for tag, you see more students playing tag, and you count those students and you see that there are 5 of them. So that's why this bar graph ends on 5. Okay, so now we can start answering some questions. Let's take a look at this bar graph, the one on the right, the bottom right. First thing we do is figure out what the categories are and what the survey is about. So it looks like marbles in a bag is the survey because that's where the title is on the top. So we have number of marbles is the category here on the left. So we have number of marbles going from 0 to 7, and then we're going to be taking out, it looks like a color, because we have the colors on the bottom. We're going to be taking out 1 color for each, for the marbles. So there's going to be 4 different colors in this bag, and we're going to be taking out 1 marble at a time, and then counting out which color we get for each marble. So that was done for us, and this is what the survey is. So for example, I'll do an example for you guys. If we were in class right now, inside the classroom, and we had a bag of marbles, and the only colors of marbles in the bag are red, blue, green, and purple, and I started asking students to come and pick a marble until they were all gone, we would count each color and draw a bar to reach that amount, just like they did here. So if we pulled out 2 red marbles, we would draw a bar that reaches the number 2. If we drew 6 blue marbles, we would draw a bar that goes up to 6. So that was done for us here in this example. Now we can answer some questions based on the data. So number 1, how many green marbles are in the bag? So since the work was already done for us, all we have to do is go to the green category, which is down here, this green bar, and we count how far up the bar goes. And it looks like it goes all the way up to 4. See where the 4 meets the green? That's what we're counting. So the answer for that is 4. Number 2, how many more blue marbles than purple marbles are in the bag? Well, for this one, you're going to have to do some subtraction. So you want to start with the bigger number first. So how many more blue? And we can see blue is the bigger number, so 6. Let's start with 6, which is blue. And then we're going to subtract purple, which is 3. See? 3 here meets the purple. So 6 minus 3. And that's going to give us the answer, which is 3. Number 3, how many marbles are in the bag? So this one's a simple question. It's asking how many total marbles are in the bag. So in order to figure this out, all you have to do is count all the marbles in the bag. Since we have red, blue, green, and purple in the bag, we have to count each category. So we add 2 for red, 6 for blue, 4 for green, and 3 for purple. If we add 2 plus 6 plus 4 plus 3, what do we get? We get a total of 15 marbles. Students, we are now on page 495. On your own, use the bar graph. So here we have a bar graph that is a survey with some data, some information or data, with some categories as well. So the first thing, what is this about? Let's look at the title. Favorite place to go. So this bar graph is going to be about favorite places to go. And the categories here on the left are the aquarium, the zoo, the beach, or the museum. So we're going to pretend that we asked our classmates what their favorite place to go is. So we asked the classmates, and it looks like 4 of them, because 4 meets the yellow bar. So 4 of them want to go to the aquarium, or their favorite place is the aquarium. For the zoo, where the 8 meets the purple, so 8 students want to go to the zoo, and so forth. So you do all of them, okay, on your own. Now answer the questions 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on your own, and then pause the video, and we'll come back and I'll go over the answers together. Pause the video now. Alright class, let's go over the answers. So for number 4, how many children chose the beach? So to figure out this problem, we need to go to the beach category and count all the way up the bar and see where it intersects here. And it looks like it's at number 6. That's where the bar ends. It starts at 0 and we count it all the way up to 6. So the answer for number 4 is 6 children. For number 5, which place did the fewest children choose? So now we're looking for the lowest amount of children. So if we look at each category, we can see that museum ends at 3, which is the lowest bar of all of them. So we're going to put museum as the answer. Alright, number 6. How many more children chose the zoo than the aquarium? So now we have to do some subtraction. We have to look at the bigger number between zoo and aquarium. So it looks like zoo is the bigger one. So let's start with zoo. Zoo had 8 children. And then the aquarium had 4 children. So 8 minus 4 gives us 4. So we have 4 more children chose the zoo than the aquarium. And you can also do it a different way too. You can count using just the graph. See, we can start at the lower number, so aquarium, and count up to reach zoo. So how many more do we need to count to reach zoo? We need 1, 2, 3, 4 to reach zoo. So the answer is still 4. Number 7. How many children chose a place that was not the zoo? So now we're counting all the categories except the zoo because we are excluding the zoo. That's why it says not. So how many children chose a place that was not the zoo? So we count aquarium, beach, and museum. So 3 plus 4 plus 6 gives us 13. 13 children. So for number 8, Greg chose a place that has more votes than the aquarium and the museum together. Which place did Greg choose? So for this question, we're going to have to do a little math. So first thing it says is that Greg chose a place that has more votes than aquarium and museum together. So we need to figure out how many votes aquarium and museum together, how many votes they equal. So aquarium, let's go to the category, is 4. So we do 4 plus museum. We can see museum is 3. So we have 3 here. 4 plus 3. And that's going to give us the answer 7. So which category has more than 7? So Greg chose the place that has more votes than both of those two together. Which one has more votes than both of them together? The only one that it could be is the zoo, because there are 8 students that chose the zoo. So that's more than 7. 8 is more than 7. Therefore, the zoo is the answer. Greg chose the zoo. Class, we are now on page 496. Problem-solving applications. Use the bar graph. So to answer the questions below, we are going to use the information given to us. So remember what survey this is. We look at the title, which is right at the top. Trees at the farm. And then we look at the category, number of trees. So we know that there are going to be trees at the farm, and then we're going to look at the number of trees here for that farm. Now, down below we can see the types of trees and the colors. So we have the oak tree, the pecan tree, the maple tree, and the apple tree. So, using this information, figure out these questions. So work on it on your own if you feel comfortable. If not, let's work on it together now. So for number 9, how many trees are at the farm? That means we're going to have to count all of the trees together to get the total amount that there are at the farm. So we need to count, let's go ahead and write down each number. We need to count oak, which is 6, pecan, which is 3, maple, which is 7, and apple, which is 2. And if we add all of those together, what answer do we get? We should get 18 as the answer. So how many trees are there altogether? There are 18 trees. Number 10, how many trees are not apple trees? So there are several ways you can do this one. You can count all of the categories except apple, or you can just subtract apple from what we just did. So if we know that there are 18 trees, let's just take away apple trees. And what number do we get? So we're going to do 18 minus apple trees, which is 2. So we can do 18 minus 2, and that's going to give us, 16. Another way you could have done it was by adding again. You could have added 6 plus 3 plus 7, and that would have given you 16 as well. Number 11, suppose 7 more trees are brought to the farm. How many trees would be at the farm then? Explain. So for this question, they're having you imagine that 7 more trees are being added to this graph here. 7 more are being added. And that we're imagining that happen. So how many trees would there be at the farm at that point? So we know that there are 18 right now, because we answer number 9. It says there are 18. So we have to add 18 plus the 7 that we're going to be adding, the 7 new ones. So if we add 7 to 18, we should get 25. Whoops. So 25 total trees now. Explain, how did we figure this out? How did we get 25 as the total amount? So we got 25. Here's a sample question that you could have used. So since there are 18 trees at the farm, 18 plus 7 equals 25. So this is the equation that we used. So there would be 25 trees in all if 7 more trees were brought to the farm. So that's the math that we did. 18 plus 7 equals 25. So we would have 25 total if 7 more were brought to the farm. Number 12, use the data in the bar graph about trees to finish the sentence. So we are going to be finishing the sentence with this information in the bar graph. There are blank fewer apple trees than oak trees. Explain. So how many fewer apple trees are there than oak trees? So in order to answer that, we need to figure out the oak tree amount, which is 6, and subtract that by the apple trees, which is 2. If we subtract 6 minus 2, we are left with 4. So there are 4 fewer apple trees than oak trees. And we can explain this by saying there are 2 apple trees and 6 oak trees. And then you can also add the addition problem like so. Or I'm sorry, the subtraction problem like so. And that concludes our video lesson today. Well done on this work, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.